You are listening to Housekeepers Chat by the United States Department of Agriculture from 1927. Disclaimer: this is read from a historic archive document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired Monday, the 21st of March of 1927.
Aunt Sammy has prepared a program for all housewives who suffer an attack of the Wanderlust in the spring of the year, when meal planning and dishwashing lose their thrill. Menu and recipes from the United States Bureau of Home Economics.
Last Saturday evening I came home from a shopping trip on the streetcar. The car was crowded, as it always is on Saturday evenings, and a woman with a somber black hat and a gray market basket made room for me on the seat beside her. We talked about this and that for a few minutes, and I remarked that the food advertisements in the top of the car were quite enchanting. "There's an asparagus salad with red tomatoes," I pointed out, "that looks good enough to eat." But my friend in the gloomy hat wasn't interested in salads. In fact, she looked so dismal that I decided to pay no more attention to her, and to read the evening paper, which the man in front of me was holding up. I was just wondering whether I dared ask him to read something besides the sport page, when my sad-eyed friend suddenly began to talk.
"They say,"
she remarked glumly,
"that it's a great life if you don't weaken."
"Quite so," I answered politely.
"But it is not true,"
said the woman in the black hat.
"It is not true. Up to the present time I have not weakened, but neither have I found it a great life. Dishes, dishes, dishes. Meals, meals, meals. Scrubbing floors and making beds, and they call it a great life."
She added bitterly. "Look here," I said, opening my handbag. "Would you like a brand new recipe for a
"No,
implored the lady.
I don't want a recipe for anything. Please don't remind me of recipes, or cooking, or dishwashing. If it weren't for my family being so dependent on me, I'd give up my job as housekeeper right now, and take the open road that leads to freedom."
By the wild gleam in her eyes, I knew the woman was greatly agitated, and I hastened to comfort her. "Your trouble," I diagnosed the case in a most professional manner, "is an acute case of the Wanderlust. There's a regular epidemic of it in the springtime, and those who survive the first attack usually suffer a relapse in the summer. The only cure is a vacation, or at least planning a vacation."
"Vacation,"
repeated the woman.
"I'd like to know how I could afford the time or the money for a vacation. If you have ever taken care of a big family, including a husband who is too finicky to eat the food that's set before him, you wouldn't talk so glibly about vacations."
"Listen to me," I said, speaking like a schoolteacher. "You need a change. You need some fun, some rest, and something new to think about. Everybody needs a holiday occasionally. You will have better health, and you can do better work, after even a brief change of scenery,"
"Yes,
said the lady.
I suppose you're going to remind me that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy and Jill a dull girl."
"I was getting to that," I replied. "It makes Jill not only dull, but cross and peevish and cranky. Don't say you haven't time for a vacation. That ancient superstition has been long since exploded by that busiest of indispensable persons, the farmer's wife. Every summer, hundreds of farm women now manage to get to mothers' camps for a complete change for a few days, returning to their families refreshed in mind and spirit, full of new ideas and happy recollections."
"That is interesting,
said the woman, her face brightening a little.
but I can't afford a vacation."
"How do you know you can't?" I asked, warming up to my subject. "There are all sorts of vacations, short ones, long ones, inexpensive ones, and elaborate ones. You don't have to rush off to the Riviera in order to have a vacation. If you can't have a train trip, how about the family car? If you can't go to a hotel, try camping. Decide about what you could afford to spend on a vacation, and lay by a little money every week from now until August. Vacations don't usually just happen. They are planned and saved for. The sooner you begin to get ready for it, the more you will have in reserve to spend on pleasant things. Suppose you have your heart set on a 2 weeks vacation in late August to cost about $40. Of course, a good many people could have a happy vacation for a good deal less money. We'll suppose you need car fare as well as board money. Count up the intervening time by weeks. $3 a week set aside regularly for 14 or 15 weeks will assure you the amount necessary. Doesn't it sound easy?
Certainly.
Agreed the woman.
It sounds easy enough, but where am I to get the $3 a week?
That, I said, is your own problem. You'll have to save a few cents here and there. Go without something you would otherwise like to have. Make over a dress, put a new bow on last year's hat, make the children's clothes. Perhaps you can do your marketing a little more carefully and buy the necessary supplies more cheaply. If you see no way to save from your income, maybe you can earn a bit here and there to add to your vacation funds.
I might sell some early vegetables,
said the woman thoughtfully.
But what if I start to save $40 and can make it only $15 or $25?
The answer is obvious, I replied. Take a $15 or $25 vacation. Make your vacation plans fit the vacation fund. You can find some pleasant way to spend your vacation if you are in the holiday frame of mind. I have found high adventure on a winding auto trail. Then next year you can begin your vacation saving earlier, save up for 50 weeks, and have a glorious holiday away from work and family chores. You can daydream on this practical basis for almost a year, whether your goal is an inexpensive visit or a trip that takes you half across the continent. It isn't quite enough, however, to think only about the holiday savings. You have to think of them in relation to all your other expenditures. This means making a plan to cover everything you need, and then watching it to catch the odd pennies of the savings fund. If you handle the finances for the entire family, you will have to include the entire family in your plans. Fix on a larger sum and get everybody to cooperate. It works out the same way for an individual. If you have never lived by a budget, don't wait until the 1st of January to make one. You can begin at any time. March the 21st is a very good budget-making date. If you are interested in making a budget, I will send you a publication that tells you in detail how to go about making a spending plan that will help you spread your income over a vacation and other necessary items.
Thank you kindly,
said the woman.
Perhaps if I should spend a few days in the mountains beside a mountain stream and sleep outdoors near a fragrant meadow with the gentle music of the pines to lull me to sleep, I wouldn't mind washing dishes and cooking meals. In such a paradise as that,
continued the woman,
I might decide that it is a great life, even if you do weaken occasionally.
Exactly, I said, glancing at the market basket. I see you are going to have canned pineapple for dessert tomorrow.
Yes,
said my friend.
I wonder if you could suggest a new way to use pineapple as a dessert. Do you have any recipes for pineapple dessert? If I had a salad and a new dessert,
continued the woman,
I could prepare a tasty meal for tomorrow. I'm going to have roast lamb, brown potatoes, and buttered carrots and onions.
Why not an asparagus salad? I suggested. Like the one pictured in the top of this car. Use canned asparagus, arrange the stalks on lettuce leaves, and serve it with a good salad dressing. Perhaps you have 2 or 3 fresh tomatoes in the icebox to add color to your salad. And as for dessert, a pineapple custard was originated to please finicky husbands. I'll tell you how to make a pineapple custard. Let me think a minute while you get your pencil. You will need 6 ingredients. 6 ingredients for the pineapple custard. 1 quart milk, 4 or 5 eggs, ½ cup sugar, 1/8 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 2 cups pineapple cut in small pieces. 6 ingredients, I'll repeat them. 1 quart milk, 4 or 5 eggs, and ½ cup sugar, 1/8 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon vanilla, 2 cups pineapple cut in small pieces. Heat the milk, sugar, and salt in a double boiler. Beat the eggs lightly and pour slowly into them some of the heated milk. Pour back into the double boiler and stir constantly until the custard coats the spoon. Remove it once and stir in the 2 cups of pineapple cut in small pieces. Place the custard in a pan of cold water and stir until cool. Add the vanilla. Let's see what your dinner menu is. Roast lamb, served piping hot, browned potatoes, buttered carrots and onions, asparagus salad, and pineapple custard. That sounds very good, and it's a well-balanced meal too, from the dietary standpoint.
Thank you so much,
said the woman as she pushed the button.
I'm getting off at the next stop.
She turned around to wave to me from the sidewalk, and I noticed, as she tripped up the street, swinging the gray market basket, that the black hat was perched over one eye at a decidedly jaunty angle. You know what I mean, the way hats are worn by carefree summer tourists in the mountains.
This broadcast was researched and produced by Breakaway Empire LLC.